Hey, so I decided I would go ahead and make a video about my mountain bike trail that I've been building in my backyard for the past year and a half or so. There's been a lot of changes to it over the course of time. Really, I want to make this video so that I can look back a year from now or 2 years from now and see how things have changed and the progress that I've made. So if you just happen to find the video and you want to watch along, you're more than welcome to, but I just really wanted to kind of like see how this would work if I made a video like this. So without further ado, I want to jump into it. This is my backyard. It's a wooded property. That's pretty much one hill that goes directly down into a creek and another hill that goes directly back up. Currently, the trail system looks a little bit like this. This map also shows some of the black connector trails that generally are more connector routes, except for the line that goes by the creek. These are the trails that I typically ride on a day-to-day basis. We'll go through these trails one by one. We'll talk about some of the features on them, how they've changed, and what I plan to do with them next. The green trail starts right by my house by this stone pathway that was already there when we built the house. This was the first trail that I built because generally I really didn't need to do much to get this top portion of the trail to work. It was already fairly wide and it was fairly flat along the top as well. So as I'm going down the green trail, I can either choose to go left to go to the red trail or continue on the right and go to the green trail, which is what I typically do. This leads me to a small drop that I built. Initially, this was just a route that I would jump off and go down a small ravine, but I really felt that a small drop here would work really well, and taking this small drop allows me to carry speed down this ravine and back up it, which carries me into a rhythm section. Initially, this was just a berm that carried me into a very narrow, flat section that tilted slightly upward and killed most of my speed. But after widening this section and adding some rollers, I can now carry enough speed to take kind of a small step up into this first intersection, which leads me down this large berm into one of the funnest sections of the trail. I've really added all these features fairly recently. First, there's a very mellow tabletop. This tabletop goes into a small roller section. On the map, I don't have this section here, but there's a small berm here that allows me to go and connect and go back up to the top of the property if I choose to. Or if I go right, I can take this small double. Now this double used to be more of a conventional double until I took a couple of spills on it and decided I would make it a little bit safer and make it more of a tabletop. After completing that tabletop, I go through a pretty rooty section that goes both up and then back down. As I go by the creek, there's a berm that allows me to take a left and kind of go back up this hill again. And that connects me back towards the top. So for the time being, that's the green trail. I do plan to add a couple of different features on it later on, but it's going to require a lot more work. It's fairly beginner friendly. I think my wife can ride it, and probably in the future, my son can ride it as well. So let's talk through the red trail. The first thing that you see on the red trail, this giant berm. It goes into a small little gully, which I use to carry a little bit more speed into a drop-off. This is about a 6-foot gap that goes from the top of this drop-off to a small landing that goes down about 8 feet or so and then banks to the right to send you back up this ravine. So going up this ravine, there's a small flow section. This was initially just a very flat, plain, bland section, which I had to dig out. As I dug and dug and dug, I found that I was collecting a whole lot of dirt. So I decided to make a small hill that would bank around and curve down the property to make it more flowy and fun to ride. This, as well, also curves back up a hill and connects at the major intersection at the top left of the property. This leads to a large berm that connects with a large drop-off. This drop-off is about knee height or so, but I have made the landing a little bit taller and I have moved it back a little bit closer to the drop-off. This line really just kind of connects back around to the green line. I'll do some additional things there at some point in the future. On the other side of the property, there's two ways to get there. One large bridge that connects from the green trail on the right side of the property, which connects into an S-shaped gully. It's sort of a natural berm. You can ride it either way, on the creek side or back towards the house side of the property. But once you get up there, you can take the purple trail, which is a bit of an up route, and that loops all the way around the property until finally you're at the intersection that really connects the fun parts of this creek side of the property. The first section is not all that exciting. There's this section of the orange trail that jumps over the purple trail, which is kind of neat, but you're not taking that on the purple trail. Instead, you're riding down and you're riding up really just to get to the very top. I knew from the get-go that I was going to make some sort of trail from that section. The problem is there's really no stopping point. Like, it goes directly into the creek. Initially, I envisioned this as sort of a jump line. However, after riding it a bunch, there's no real good way to stop. So I've had to be creative with it. This section starts with a small drop and then goes over a giant man-made roller. This used to be a double, or rather a large tabletop. And as it got washed out over time, it got a bit too dangerous. But there's no real good way for an ambulance to come get me. 6-7 months after I made it, and I just made it a giant roller. And that roller goes down into a very fast section. So instead of putting a jump section in here, I ended up putting just a berm that sends you back towards the hill. And then I ended up cutting into the hill with my old trusty shovel and creating a step up. And so this step up allows you to kind of manage your speed a lot better, can slow you down. And so that's kind of solved the speed issue that I was having in that section. At the end of that section, there's a large berm that sends you down. Again, this is a little bit sketchy too, because at the very bottom of this, if your brakes aren't working very well, or you want to take it a little bit fast, you're heading directly into a 10-12 foot drop off into the creek. So you can take the end of that section and continue to go back up the hill, and you can take some of these connector trails to go up the orange up route to connect back where you started the purple line. And so this is the first line that I did over here, which is the orange line. This first section used to have a roller into a double, into a dirt jump over the purple line, but the double didn't work all that well, kept getting washed away. So I recently made it into a roller, and the jump over the purple line also got washed away. So I put a wooden lip on it, and now it works great. You can kind of carry a lot more speed going into that orange line, around this berm, around this corner, and then into a section that carries a lot of speed on the orange side, not as much as the purple line does, but this sends you down this berm, going quite quickly, into like a little gully where there's a little step up at the very end. You make it up to the top where there's a large berm again, and you kind of berm back down. There's a jump over this other gully which sends you down sort of this carved out route. I think this was 5 weeks worth of work, 7-8 hours on each weekend, digging the dirt out and then taking that 50 pounds or whatever worth of dirt and then carrying it up the hill. So the one part of the trail that we haven't really discussed is the creek part of the trail, where I'm going back and forth over the creek with some of the bridges. The reason I don't take that part of the trail very much is on the bottom left of the property, right by the creek, a lot of that section is flooded, typically pretty wet, pretty muddy, you lose a lot of speed, and it's hard to get back up that on your bike. You really have to walk it. So that's it, that's the trail system. I think they've come a long way, but there's still a lot to work on, a lot to improve. I'm excited to look back a year or two from now and see what I've changed, see what I've made different, or see what features I've fallen on. So a year or two from now, maybe I'll make another video and we can kind of look at the differences. So till then, thanks for watching.